Many Magic the Gathering playgroups ask the question, is it worth it to buy a game night? Not to be confused with Game Day, which was long discontinued, or Game Nights, the popular Command Zone program. Game Night is a multiplayer melee pre-constructed product that is essentially a battle box. 5 pre-constructed decks balanced against one another, featuring exclusive cards and intended to be akin to a Magic the Gathering board game, where you can pull the box out of your closet, sit down with friends, and just as it says on the tin, have a game night. But what kind of gameplay experience does this favor, and is it worth the price to a casual or new player? Does this prepackaged night of games hold any interest and allure for the existing Magic connoisseur? It's holiday season and this product has hit the shelves, so before you buy, let's take a look for ourselves. A game night box contains the following. One game night play guide and rulebook, one very flashy and prominent ad for Magic the Gathering Portal, a product that does not exist. 5 60-card decks, each containing one exclusive mythic not available anywhere else, 15 double-sided tokens, 5 spin-down die, and some cardboard punch-out spin-down die placemats and +1/+1 counters. So we essentially have 300 cards for $39.99. Spin downs are commonplace enough anyway, and the +1/+1 counters are cardboard, and I guess they're nice, but they're not really worth much. Now, I'm a big fan of Magic the Gathering battle boxes, having talked about them briefly, from using guild kits to make your own with pre-constructed product, or to build one out of battle decks, or my favorite, a popper battle box. But of course, even the cheapest of these options is going to cost more than $39.99. So when this product was first announced, I was excited to see what the company that can literally print whatever cards they want would choose to go with for their own battle box-like product. The answer to that question is standard, or rather old standard, as the 300 cards here span the period from Shadow's Block through Kaladesh, Amonkhet, Ixalan, Dominaria, and Core 19. In this area, I feel fairly disappointed, as even if we do not expect any financial value here, I am sad that this product did not draw from Magic's long history and instead limited itself to recent sets, especially since the vast majority of cards here are commons and uncommons. There's 10 to 15 cent commons and uncommons throughout Magic's history, and some of them do interesting things. I would have liked to see some of that here. But an area of excitement is that game night decks also come with 5 exclusive, never before printed cards, one for each color and printed at the mythic rarity. These cards, as well as the non-standard reprints, largely from Amonkhet and Kaladesh blocks, are not standard legal. This is an odd contrast to a simultaneously released product, the Magic Gift Box, which also contained 5 exclusive cards, one for each color, but which did place these 5 cards into standard. So Game Night's exclusive cards are not standard legal and are mythics instead of rares. Is this possibly so that design could put more oomph into them? The answer is yes, within reason. The exclusive cards here are neat, and since they were designed with multiplayer in mind and had no fear of standard legality, they come across as very reminiscent, to me anyway, of some of the better made just for Commander cards that Commander precons contain. And I would say that these cards, much more so than the ones included in the gift pack, are ones that will see Commander play, or at least could be included in certain fringe decks for a little bit of fun. And that makes them the highlight of this game night set, as far as individual cards are concerned anyway. Each deck also contains 5 rares for a total of 25 rares, the 5 exclusive mythics, as well as those 270 additional commons, uncommons, and basic lands comprising the decks. It's current standard plus a few previous blocks basically, so while most of the commons and uncommons are draft chaff, there's a few pieces here and there that might be used in standard. Looking briefly towards financial value, we're going to start with those exclusives and then see if there are any rares worthwhile. Rot Hulk seems to be the favorite of the bunch, selling for about $6.99 each, followed by both Avatar of Growth and Militant Angel at $5.99 and $5.34 respectively. Inspired Sphinx is maybe not living up to its name at $3.39 each, and lowest of the 5 exclusives is Goblin Goliath at $3.96 each. Inspired Sphinx is maybe not living up to its name at $3.39, and it is the lowest of the 5 exclusives, with Goblin Goliath above it at $3.96 each. Looking for other cards of note, Cleansing Nova is $5 each, and Vanalish Marshall is $3.25, making white much more noteworthy than blue, which has no real cards besides its exclusive of note. Black has a pair of Stitcher's Suppliers at $2.50 each for a total of $5, 2 Lord of the Accursed, which is a $2 uncommon for a total of $4. Wow, those are some nice uncommon reprints. And red is just a pair of dollar Trash Masters, but green has really stood out with the insane reprint of not 1 but 2, and I can't believe I'm seeing such a spicy reprint in a product like this. Colossal Dreadmaws, no wait, I mean Ghalta, Primal Hunger, a nearly $7 card, shored up by a pair of Thrashing Brontodons at $1.50 each, and the famous $2 Gigantosaurus. So adding those 14 cards up, and I want to repeat, this is 14 out of 300, we easily meet and exceed the $39.99 MSRP by having approximately $54.17 in value. Of course, I expect those prices to drop rapidly. But again, I don't want to go any further than just that cursory look at financial value, as this was neither the intent nor need of this product. What I want to focus on now is gameplay. Is it fun to play, and what is that play experience like? The decks each are mono-colored, so there's 5 with 1 in each color. Some like the mono-red having a generic burn and goblins approach, while others like the mono-blue go for a basic artifacts matter theme. For the most part, though, these play out like a typical mono-colored deck. I find it odd that we didn't get color combinations. Again, the company could have printed whatever they want, even if what they wanted were low-value commons and uncommons. And in playing with some friends, I found the gameplay typical of lower-end Magic precons. This is, after all, the style that Wizards of the Coast seems to like to put out with these decks. Older players will know what I mean when I describe these as being very much like an intro pack deck. Or perhaps Planeswalker deck without the Planeswalker. Essentially, each deck is comprised of 1 to 2, or in some cases 3, of most commons and uncommons, no playsets that I see. And while there's the exception, these cards are cards like Shock and Mesa Unicorn, and Reassembling Skeleton, which makes for grindy games where the win condition is either to rush out a stalled opponent or hit your lone finisher. I have never been a fan of this design, as I feel it does not represent the potential of Magic gameplay well, even for casual and new players. So I am not going to go on about a lack of reprints here, and I am not going to go on about a lack of a pathway to standard, as this product attempts neither. But if you are mostly going to put together bulk, as the majority of these cards as commons and uncommons with little to no value are, then why limit yourself to just standard and was just in standard cards? Imagine 5 decks built more like the old dual decks, and I bet you could match the financial value here easily enough. There's bulk and commons and uncommons from throughout Magic's history. Why are we limiting ourselves to Shock? Again. And that, more than anything, is what struck me about the gameplay. I've seen so much of this before. These are many of the same cards that get used for Planeswalker decks, the same cards that were in Explorers of Ixalan, the same cards that were in the Spellslinger starter kit. No, not the exact same overall, though many of them are, but when you have so many pre-constructed products coming out and they're all drawing from the same limited card pool, it does start to feel a little repetitious. Remember when Archenemy and Planechase special sets built powerful and much more complex pre-constructed decks spanning all of Magic's history? I don't see why we could not have gotten that here. The exclusive mythics are really cool, but the other 59 cards are just so much Amonkhet and Ixalan chaff. Now, fun is of course subjective, and many have argued that my personal frustrations with this style of deck design are just that, a personal frustration, not representative of everyone's own potential enjoyment. That's very fair. I'm happy to say then that a gameplay video was produced of the Game Night box in action, and you can watch actual real gameplay of these decks on the recent episode of Game Nights, which I will link here and in this video's description. Even though that program is partially sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, I feel very strongly it conveys a sense of what playing these decks are like, so that you can judge for yourselves. This is still a complete 5-card battle box for $39.99. To better understand what this is offering us at that price, let's quickly recap our easiest and most reasonable alternatives. Ravnica Guild Kits. Spanning a collection of over half a dozen sets constructed around not just monocolored decks, but 2-color combinations which also have guild flavor and function. It is so much more fun to play these guild kits in a multiplayer melee. Now there's less balance between them, I guess, but I'll trade that for far more complex gameplay, which the guild kits have in spades, and filled with great reprints to boot. The biggest problem? Double or slightly more than double the cost at $80 to $100. And even more so goes for something like a Commander or Dual Deck Anthology. These are now selling for well into $200 plus territory. So while a battle box of Commander decks is a mind-blowing thing to pull down off the shelf, it's just so expensive for those who didn't snap one up when these first hit the market. The closest alternative is building a battle box from Card Kingdom's battle decks. Here you can pick 5 different decks of really interesting styles and gameplay strategies. They're not all monocolored, though some of them are. It's your call what you want to pick up. And you have so many choices between everything from Merfolk to Reanimator to Enchantress to Mill or just tribal builds like Dragons or Eldrazi. There's an enormous catalog, but even Card Kingdom here can't beat the Game Night's price of $39.99 for 5 decks plus all those goodies, as 5 battle decks will cost you a little more than $10 extra plus shipping. So even at MSRP, this is a good deal for what you're getting, and there's also one more alternative that's a better deal. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, it gives me no pleasure to say so, but the best alternative to a Game Night box is a Game Night box, sold for a considerable discount online. Many online sellers, such as Amazon, have considerably marked down copies of Game Night for as low as, wow, $29.99. What a difference $10 makes. At $29.99, our value that we pull from this box becomes so much better in comparison. The exclusives much more tantalizing, and the shortcomings of the gameplay more forgivable for a basic battle box that you could probably begin upgrading. Now, I am unhappy with local game stores being undercut again by Amazon, but at the end of the day, we do have to follow our wallets. While I'm not advocating shopping on Amazon, it would be remiss of me not to point out this incredible discounted offering currently available. Final conclusion, Game Night is a basic battle box made up of 5 decks that consist mostly of old standard, common, and uncommon chaff. There are a handful of rares of note, but many cards included are good neither in standard nor even draft. Why are we including uncommons and commons that you wouldn't even pick in draft? The biggest perk are the 5 exclusive mythics that, while not standard legal, could find a home in Commander decks for sure, and certainly are fun bombs to drop in during a game. Gameplay itself is slow and very grindy. Most of your deck is underpowered commons and uncommons, and this is akin to an intro pack aside from that spicy mythic. For $39.99, it provides exactly what it claims to and no more. An introductory multiplayer melee experience with introductory level gameplay. Grade at MSRP is a C. With discounts widely available, however, $29.99 becomes a price that is very hard to resist, especially at the holidays. At that price, it really is the best deal in town for a battle box. And while there's still room for improvement, it's hard to argue with $29.99, hard to fault that price. And it would make this product a pleasant B. Very good at this deal, or at MSRP, acceptable. I hope very much this video has been of some help to you. You can help me out by remembering to like, share, subscribe, or just by leaving a message. Do you own a battle box? What kind? Would you use a Game Night box as your first melee into the format? Let me know in the comments below. And this video is brought to you by my and many other people's local game store, Card Kingdom, a brick-and-mortar pillar of this community, as well as the Patreon support of viewers such as you. These are the people that keep Tolarian Community College going and growing strong. So thank you.